Hello folks, my name is Mark. This is Why I Hate the World. How you guys doing? So, no stream today because today is Free Comic Book Day, so that's where I'm going to be getting my free comic books. But I did want to make a little video here about the pandemic because it just doesn't want to end. And really the reason why it hasn't ended yet, the reason why we haven't been able to go back to normal is because of Republicans. Specifically because the Republicans are doing the exact opposite of what needs to be done in order to end this pandemic. We're seeing it all over the country, but sort of concentrated in the South, right? Right at the time when we have this Delta variant that's hitting very hard, that's giving us hospitalizations and infection numbers that are roughly the same of where we were last fall. Right when that hits, all of the red states are doing things like banning mask mandates and refusing to lock down, right? Refusing, and people are refusing to take vaccines. And it's like, well, what do you guys, if these are the things that you have to do if you want to stop the pandemic, if you want to keep people from getting sick, that's what you got to do. And they're doing the exact opposite of it. And we're starting to see all around the country, but especially in the South, that's like a major outbreak center. So just to have a couple of things I want to show you guys. Let me just make myself small over here, right? So this here is covidactnow.org, and it has a nice little map of where you can see the progress of vaccinations around the country, right? And we can see here, let me make myself just a little bit smaller so you can see the whole thing. You can see here, basically the more blue the state is, the higher the population percentage of people that have gotten the vaccine. So you can see California, for example, fully vaccinated is about 54%, one dose 67%, looking really good there. You have Oregon about roughly 57-60%. Looking good here. New Mexico. Surprisingly, Florida actually has a lot of vaccinations as well, right? They're at a roughly 50% fully vaccinated, 61%. So roughly about the same as California. So we're looking pretty good. New York, Vermont doing really well. New York doing, Massachusetts doing really well. New York doing really well. So all of these places. And you notice the places where, we haven't had that much of a penetration in vaccinations is down in the South, 35% Alabama, right? 39% Georgia, 41% South Carolina, right? Louisiana, 38%. That's pretty freaking low, right? Now we can scroll down a little bit. Here's the risk levels. Risk is reduced for those who are vaccinated, but these are basically the states where you're more likely to get, COVID. And you see around here, this is the hot spots, right? Florida, Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, right? It seems like, it's almost like we're looking at the old Confederacy here, right? Especially in the South. Now, you would look at this and you say, okay, well, also these other states here, are also pretty red. The risk here is high, but it's not severe like it is down here, right? Why is that? Well, it's because more people are willing to get vaccinated over here. That's the first thing. But, the risk is going to be high in any state that has a large population. In any big city, your risk is going to be high. If you just happen to have more big cities along the West Coast, then, with higher populations than you do in the Deep South. But so it's like, so yeah, it's going to be high, but it's more severe over in this area because these people don't want to get vaccinated. Surprisingly, Florida, it's also very severe as well. Well, why is that? Why is it? Because Florida has vaccination rates which are roughly the same as California, yet how come it's more severe in Florida than it is in California? Because the population in Florida is older. And you have a lot more people living in old folks' homes, things like that, where they're all packed together closely and tightly, and more people who are at risk, that's 65 and over. Those are the risks that where if you get it, you can actually, it's more likely to kill you, right? And that's, Florida's where all the old people go to retire. Has been like that for decades, right? So down here we have a table where you can compare states and counties and metro areas, things like that, right? And you can see the daily cases per 100,000, right, and the infection rate, positivity rate. you know, and you could say, okay, yeah, daily cases per 100,000, 30,000 for California, right? Let's just sort this by the least. Here we go. Looks like Maine, New Hampshire, Maryland, Pennsylvania. These are all the states that are the most, you know, the lowest number, right? And you noticed all these guys are in the Northeast, right, where vaccinations are pretty high, right? Let's flip this around again. The one with the highest cases, Louisiana, Mississippi, Florida, Arkansas, Alabama. You start to notice a pattern here? It's all in those red states, those southern red states down here. All these states down here, all the places where people don't want to get vaccinated. All the places where they're banning mask mandates, right? In Florida right now, they basically, the governor DeSantis there, passed a law that's, you know, basically banned any school district from, or any municipality, any town, any school district, right, from passing their own mask mandates. So, okay, it's fine if you don't want to enforce it at the state level, but they're going one step beyond that. They're not just saying we're not going to enforce it at the state level. We're also going to prevent the, you know, the lower levels of government from doing their own mandates, right? So it's sort of like, you know, we're not going to enforce this, but we're going to prevent you from enforcing that. So that's like saying, you know, making it illegal to wear a seatbelt. You know, and here's the thing that they always say. They always say, well, it's your personal choice. You know, it should be like, for example, the wearing a mask in schools. You know, that's a big thing that we're seeing now, right? People don't want their kids to wear masks in schools. Well, it's sort of like, you know, they say the excuse for that is that they go, well, it should be the parent's choice whether or not the kid can wear a mask or not, right? Yeah, but, you know, now they're basically taking that away and saying, well, you're not allowed to wear a mask. You know, you're not allowed. If the school district, right, if the parents get together, right, and their PTA group, and they go to the school and they say, we want you to enforce a mask mandate, right? And the school tries to enforce it, Ron DeSantis is going to take away their money, right? So he's basically, you know, taking that ability for people to make their own choices, taking that away, right? And you're seeing the same thing in Texas, right? You're seeing the same thing in Louisiana. All these states where, you know, where the daily cases are now over 100,000, right? Per case, you know, 100 over 100 per 100,000, right? That's where it's getting bad, man, right? So we're starting to see all around the country just people lose their fucking minds when it comes to you know, these mask mandates, right? When it comes to stuff like this. So there's this video here that I want to show you guys, right? This is a video that's making the rounds nowadays. Let's just kind of make this a little bigger, right? This is from NBC. And I'm sure you've probably seen this video. It's of a protest. This is in Tennessee, of parents losing their fucking minds because the school decided to enforce a mask mandate. And it gets pretty fucking gnarly. So let's check it out. You. Let's get rid of that. So you hear this person take that mask off, and then this guy over here, no more masks, no more masks, blah, 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 screaming, right? And what this was because they had a PTA meeting where some, you know, medical professionals came in, like doctors and nurses and stuff, and basically testified as to the effectiveness of wearing masks, which, you know, it's something around, if you wear a cloth mask in a room with somebody else with COVID and they're also wearing a mask, your chances of catching it are reduced by somewhere around 80%. Okay, masks work, all right? The science behind masks have been well known for centuries. Okay, for a long time. If you look back and you see pictures of the people in, you know, during the Spanish flu epidemic, right, back in like 1916 or whenever that was, right? I think it was 1916, I don't know. But you can see pictures of people wearing cloth masks, even back then, right? Because they understood, you know, that's how it works, because that's how it spreads. It spreads through water droplets when somebody coughs, when somebody sneezes, when somebody breathes, right? And if you have a barrier in front of your face, right, then it stops that from being expelled. See, the thing with masks is that they don't protect you per se so much. They protect other people from you. Okay, and that's the thing that you always hear from, like, anti-maskers, right? They always say shit like, well, masks don't protect you. It's, the virus is microscopic, blah 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 blah, right? It prevents other people from catching shit that you may be spreading around. And if two people are wearing the mask, the chances of it getting spread from one person to another are vastly, vastly reduced. This is why surgeons wear masks when they do surgery, okay? It's to prevent any germs that they have from infecting the open wound in front of them. That's how it works. This is how we've known masks work like this for literally decades, if not centuries at this fucking point. But listen to these assholes, no more masks, That's ridiculous. Did you hear that? Hear what he just said? This guy in the this dude right here in the black t-shirt, you're child abusers, right? Remember that, because we're going to come back to that. Equating mask wearing with child abuse. We'll come back to that. Nice mohawk there. Oh, listen to this fucking lady. Yeah, put your mask back on. Right? What does it matter with people? Like, I can understand, if you don't understand basic science, that's one thing. But these are middle class white American adults. They've all, graduated high school. They all took high school science. They should know this shit. The majority of the people in that crowd are probably college graduates. There's no fucking excuse. They teach you this shit in grade school, right? How germs work. Okay? You should know this thing. You should know that, this is like basic fucking precautions, right? But they don't care about that because, why? Because of their politics, okay? Because Tucker fucking Carlson told them that it was child abuse, right? We'll come to that in a minute. This and that. Now listen to that guy. This dude right here. We know who you are. Yeah, right. So what is he saying right here? This person getting in the car right here is like a doctor or a nurse or somebody. They didn't actually say who it was, probably trying to protect their identity from psychopaths like this, right? We know who you are. So what are you trying to say? What, are you gonna like go to their fucking house, right? Light a cross on fire on their lawn or something? It's bullshit. And then there's a cop right here. A cop standing right here as this guy's banging on the hood of their car, right? As he's basically threatening them right here. Cop's not doing shit, okay? The reason why the cop's not doing shit probably is because he's afraid of, like, turning this into a fucking massive, like, riot or something. But he could have got in front of this dude. He could have just, like, placed himself in between this guy and the other car and said, hey, man, back the fuck off, right? I won't allow you to, threaten people, shit like I know, but he didn't do shit. It's bullshit. It's like absolutely ridiculous, man.
No more masks. Keep it calm. No more masks. We're on these guys' side.
Listen to this dude. This dude with a... All right, first off, if you notice this, right? But that's a kind of... I can't exactly read that. Liberate Tennessee. Resist, and it's looking a little white nationalist right there. Nice t-shirt. I'm gonna have to look that up. I mean, kind of you got the black and the red and a sort of vaguely swastika looking symbol on it. That's no mistake. But anyway, this dude right here in the pink, saying, oh, they're on our side. Listen to what he says, right? Let's rewind that just a little bit.
We're on these guys' side. They're on our side. No, they're not. They're not on our side. The police are on our side.
The police are on our side. The cops are on our side. They're here to protect us, right? Protect you from what? What? The nurse is gonna shoot you or something? The nurse is gonna, like, what? Infect you with a fucking, like, microchip, right? Shoot you up with, like, a microchip created by Bill Gates, unless it was really created by, like, reptilian aliens. Unless it was really created by the Illuminati or something. It's a joke. But, so you think, okay, well, this dude looks like he's here to, like, keep the peace, right? Let's move on.
The police are on our side. Let's calm down. Yes. Calm down. We know who you are. We know who you are.
And then he immediately turns around. Okay, so this dude was just here, right, saying, "Oh, keep it all nice and calm, right? Cops are here to protect us, you know, keep it peaceful." And then he immediately turns around and starts pointing at the doctor here. "We know who you are." What kind of shit is that? And the cops are just, the cop got out of his way. See, the cop was standing here before, and then he moved so that they can come and like point their fucking fingers and intimidate and threaten the medical professional who was only there trying to give them advice to save their fucking lives. I don't understand it. I don't understand how people can be so ridiculously dense, right? How people can so like act against their own best interests and be so like blind about it. It's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. I don't understand it.
You can leave freely, but we will find you, and we know who you are. You will never be allowed in public again.
You will never be allowed in public again. We will find you. Do you think this guy right here is at home sleeping, feeling safe in his own home now? I'd be scared shitless if there were like a whole crowd of assholes screaming at me, "We know who you are. We will find you." Right? I mean, I'd be sitting on my porch with a shotgun, basically waiting for the Klan to show up. Because that's what this is. This is like basically one step above a fucking like, a Klan rally. I mean, all they need are some white hoods and a fucking burning cross. Right? It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So you notice, enough of this shit. Okay, you've probably seen this before. You notice when he said, yeah, it's child abuse, when this douchebag right here, this fucking living, human-shaped pile of donkey turds in the black t-shirt screaming his fucking threats was talking about how, it's child abuse to wear a mask. Where do you think he got that from? He got that from Tucker Carlson. And in fact, here's Tucker Carlson right here, saying exactly what that guy just said. Let's just make that a little bigger.
Your response when you see children wearing masks as they play should be no different from your response to seeing someone beat a kid in Walmart. Call the police immediately. Contact Child Protective Services.
Child abuse. Listen to that shit. So this is Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson has the most popular, right, political talk show, I guess is what you would call it, right, in the country. He gets anywhere from between 20 to 50 million viewers every single day. When a YouTube video goes viral and people talk about how, oh, this video is viral, it got 3 million views in a week. That's nothing. That's nothing compared to this piece of shit. This guy who every single fucking night gets like enough people to fill an entire nation. Right? 20 to 50 million people it's ridiculous, depending, on the low side it's 20 million people. Rush Limbaugh used to get 20 million people that would listen to him every single day too. Like, this guy's crushing. And so just, somebody like that has this massively gigantic audience. When he says something ridiculous and stupid and fascist and hateful and racist or whatever the fuck he says, it's going to spread around to millions upon millions of people. It's no coincidence that people out there are like repeating the exact same shit that he said on TV, because that's where they get their ideas from, because conservatives are fucking morons. That's the reason why, because conservatives are idiots, and if somebody that they think is an authority says something, they'll just repeat it without fucking thinking. Because if you just actually thought about it, you would realize that a kid wearing a mask is not child abuse. It's the opposite of child abuse. It's no different than a kid wearing a helmet when he rides a bike, or wearing a seatbelt when they're in a car, or putting your small child in a child seat in a car, something like that, or having a bar that comes down when a kid goes on a roller coaster. It's really no different than any of those things, right? It's there to protect them. And not just protect the kid, but to protect other people. But no, you have, they've taken the mask mandate and they've made that into a political issue. Now it's about freedom. You have the freedom to fucking I don't want to hold my kid back, you know, the expression, blah, 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 blah. And they should have the freedom to express themselves and not wear a mask. And also, you know, they're forgetting the part where the freedom is, you know, you're not supposed to have the freedom to infect other people, because that's what happens when you get COVID. Even if you get COVID and you have no symptoms, right, you will still infect other people, because that's how it works, right? Up to 40% of the people who get COVID-19, who catch that, don't have any symptoms at all. They never get sick, right? They never, excuse me, they never end up in the hospital, right? But they still spread it around to everybody else, up to 40%, right? So you could have caught this, you know, if you never got sick this past year, you could have caught it and just not even known, because you just were asymptomatic, right? It's like that because that's how viruses work. Okay, it's the same thing with like the regular ordinary cold or the flu. You may catch it, you may have a slight headache for half a day, or you may have no symptoms at all, but for like, you know, 3 or 4 days, you're highly, highly contagious, and every single person that you're talking to and shaking hands with is catching this goddamn disease from you. That's exactly how it works, right? And kids, just because they're young, doesn't mean that they're not going to catch it. All right. Right now, with the Delta variant, up to somewhere around 20% of all of the cases of new infections are from children, right? And it just so happens that it doesn't seem to kill children very much, because it only really, you know, the more likely you are to die from COVID is if you're older, if you have a pre-existing medical condition, you know, if you're overweight, if you have diabetes, if you're 65 and older, if you have, you know, reduced lung capacity, stuff like that. That's where you have these other risk factors where you may actually die. But, you know, so 611,000 people have actually died from this disease, right? 400 of those are children. Okay, that's far more than, like, say, the normal flu that kills roughly 80,000 people a year, right? You know, that's way more than the flu kills. You know, maybe you might get somewhere around 100 or something children who die from a flu every year, right? 400 kids is a lot. And for a disease that doesn't affect children, that's a lot of children to fucking die, right? But it's because this piece of shit doesn't want kids to take basic fucking precautions, doesn't want them to, you know, doesn't want schools to make kids wear masks so that they don't spread this disease around. So not only do they not get sick, but then they can also bring it home and infect their parents and their grandparents, right? You know, and all these other people who actually are taking precautions, right? It's unbelievable, because Tucker fucking Carlson is an asshole. There's the only reason why, because he's an asshole. Let's move on.
At this point, there is no scientific justification for any mask mandate anywhere.
That's a straight up lie. Absolute lie. Complete bullshit, right? And that's the thing, is that he knows it's a lie. The science behind masks are very well understood. But he said it anyway, okay? He could have, you know, because Tucker Carlson, right, his show, it's not like they don't have a budget. So he easily has people who can research stuff for him and find out the actual science behind wearing a mask. But he doesn't want to do that because it's all about politics, right? Because he knows his audience doesn't want to hear the actual truth. They just want to hear shit that strokes their egos. They just want to hear shit that makes them feel good. And it makes them feel good to believe that they're being oppressed, right? Because in real life, conservatives run the goddamn country. Okay, but no, they want to feel like they're oppressed because they lost the fucking election. So now they've turned, you know, wearing a mask so that you don't get sick into a goddamn, like, cry for a revolution, right? So this piece of shit can make money. That's what it's really all about. It's so Tucker Carlson can make money. It's ridiculous. Let's move on.
It's that simple. And the idea that people are being forced to wear masks outside should shock us.
All right, that's enough of this shit. You know, this was from last April of 2021, so I'll put all the links to these videos down in the description after this video publishes. But yeah, he's a piece of shit. He's a piece of shit, and we're seeing his rhetoric being, you know, we're seeing his lies being repeated all around the goddamn country, right? And, you know, if they're not getting their, you know, if people aren't getting their misinformation from Tucker Carlson, they're probably getting it from their, you know, religious leaders, right? because it's also become a religious thing not to wear a mask, to not get vaccinated, right? Here is a preacher. This guy's name is Joshua Feuerstein, right? Basically, he's one of these, piece of garbage mega church assholes who like kind of go up in front of people and tell people to donate so that he can go buy like a private fucking jet or whatever. And he's doing his best to stoke fear into people and try to prevent them from getting vaccinated. So let's listen to what Joshua Feuerstein has to say here.
Listen to me. I understand, and let me speak now to the cameras around the world, to every pastor that's watching this broadcast, to every Christian that is cowered in your home. I realize that for this last year that maybe you've been fed fear and fear and fear, but the Bible says that God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. You have a sound mind. You don't have to wear the mask. You got Jesus. You don't need the vaccine. You got Jesus.
You don't need the vaccine. You have Jesus. Oh, Jesus Christ, please. That's what Jesus would do. And that's what Jesus would, if he were alive today, would tell people not to get vaccines. I guess he would just heal everybody automatically. I guess he would just go and take like, one dose of vaccine and combine it with a fish and get some bread and then multiply that by 1 billion and then just feed everybody and trick them into getting the vaccine or some shit. I don't know. It's mind-blowing. It's like, it's not just politics now. It's not just a political issue. It's like it's become a religious mandate from Jesus to not take basic fucking precautions to stop a pandemic from spreading. It's unbelievable. And and this comes from lots of different things. There's rumors going around in Christian circles, people talking about how the vaccine is like the mark of the beast, right? All this other baloney. I'm not making that up. I wish I was. I wish that this was just ridiculous, wacky conspiracy theory horseshit that you would have heard 10, 20 years ago. It's not. It's like the lunatics are running the asylums. All the people that we used to make fun of back during the Bush and the Obama administrations for being insane conspiracy theorists, they're running the show now, and you really do have people on Christians talking about how, the mark of the beast is the vaccine, right? And all of these floods and fires and things which are caused by global climate change are like, described in the Bible, and it's like the end times are coming, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, it's like our country, we've lost our minds. We've lost our minds, but it's because of the conservatives, the Christians, the Republicans. They've absolutely gone bananas, and because they can't face reality. They can't understand, they can't face reality because what we're seeing is like the direct result of their policies, and they don't want to face up to the facts that the shit they believe is actually killing us. This is what it is. Their actions is making life worse for everybody, and they just can't face it. I don't understand. It's like, if you have a problem and you just ignore the problem, it's not like the problem just goes away, right? What's the solution that conservatives have, for anything? It's like, I don't know. I don't hear any solutions from them at all. That's the point. Anyway, there's one other thing I wanted to talk about here. This is Joe Rogan, right? I'll probably get this video kicked for this, but, I can play a little bit of it, right? Joe Rogan, this is fair use, man, so I don't want to hear any shit about my video getting flagged. This is Joe Rogan's opinion on vaccinations and why people don't want to get vaccinated. Okay.
And people say, do you think it's safe to get vaccinated? I've said, yeah, I think for the most part it's safe to get vaccinated. I do. But if you're like 21 years old and you say to me, should I get vaccinated? I go, no. Yeah. Are you healthy? Are you a healthy person? Like, look, don't do anything stupid, but you should take care of yourself.
Yeah. Taking care of yourself includes getting vaccinations for diseases. That's part of taking care of yourself. Would you tell someone who is under 21 not to get a polio vaccine, not to get a measles vaccine, not to get a whooping cough vaccine? No, right? Because that'd be stupid. That'd be stupid and dumb, because it doesn't matter how healthy you are. It doesn't matter how much you work out. It doesn't matter how good you eat, right? What kind of good food that you eat and stuff like that. If you get a goddamn disease, the disease is going to infect you and kill you regardless. It doesn't matter how healthy you are. Yeah, if you work out and you're healthy and you eat well, you're more likely to survive. If you get, let's say cancer, right? But you'll still fucking die from it. And especially if you get it and you just ignore it, if you don't take basic fucking precautions, if you go and, if you don't do if you don't get medical checkups and you don't actually take the precautions in order to stop, to treat the disease, right? It doesn't matter how fucking healthy you are. So basically what he just said right there, that's misinformation. If you're under 21, don't get it. Why? Why? What can it possibly fucking hurt? To get a vaccine and take basic fucking precautions, right? Because he's saying that because he knows where his bread is buttered, because he knows that a large portion of his audience are anti-vax people who will give him mountains of shit if he tells people to get vaccinated. That's why he said that. It's ridiculous. It's like, I don't think Joe Rogan really believes what he just said right there. I think he said that for, a political reason, because it's politically correct from a right-wing perspective to be anti-vax right now.
If you're a healthy person and you're exercising all the time and you're young and you're eating well, I don't think you need to worry about this.
Yeah,
Yeah, see, that's the other perspective right there. You don't need to worry about this, right? You won't die, is what they're trying to say, right? He's forgetting the fact that you can spread it to other people. See, there's a big thing, Joe Rogan's kind of like this sort of pseudo-libertarian kind of thing, not really, but he has a lot of those sort of principles, that the idea that your ability to swing your fist ends when at my face, shit like that, right? Joe Rogan has a little bit of that going with his own personal philosophy, that you should be able to do whatever you want as long as it doesn't hurt other people, right? Well, not getting a vaccine hurts other people. That's the thing. That's where it doesn't match up. It's like, yeah, you yourself personally may be fine. If you are, because it doesn't really, he's correct right there, right? The chances of you dying from COVID, if you're under 21 and you're healthy, is very low, right? The chances of you spreading it to somebody else who then may die is not very low. It's very high, okay? And that's just, so you yourself may live, but you may infect 10 other people. And 2 of those people might kick the bucket because of actions that you refuse to do, right? So chances are you are hurting other people. It's not exactly, that's the thing, it's not exactly the same thing as a personal choice to, say, smoke cigarettes or not, or to eat junk food or not, or to wear a seatbelt or not, or to work out or not. It's not exactly, because it doesn't just affect you, it affects other people as well. And then he's also forgetting the fact that, yeah, okay, you may also survive, but there are other long-term effects of COVID that we don't know about. Things like long COVID. That's real shit, where you get this disease and then people who are just have permanent damage done to their body. There are people that can no longer taste anymore. Their sense of smell is gone. Their sense of taste is gone. They have reduced lung capacity. For months afterwards, people who are trying to walk up a flight of stairs and they can't do it anymore because their lung capacity is gone. People just don't have any energy. Shit like that. For months and months. And it's we don't know. Is it permanent? Do these people have permanent damage? Is it ever going to come back? Will they ever be able to walk up a flight of stairs or, exert themselves in any kind of physical way or be able to taste food ever again? We don't know. Enough time hasn't passed. We don't know, right? So why risk that? And then alone the fact that if you get it, let's say you get it and you survive, but you have to go to the hospital, right? And you're in the hospital for fucking 2 weeks, right? That shit's expensive as hell. It's you'd end up paying $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for an extended hospital stay like that. And that's if you have good insurance. If you don't have insurance, you're fucked. You're screwed. Right? Then you're going to have a bill for $300,000, right? Who wants to have a house payment every month for the rest of their lives because they got sick for a week? This is the kind of shit that people are seeing right here. It's the risk is too high. It's not just about you dying. Okay, it's about all this other shit too. Like, who wants to put themselves at that risk, right? Even if you are 21, you know. I mean, and the thing is, you could even have health problems when you're under 21 that you don't even know about, right? It could be, you could have some kind of emerging health problem that you don't know about, right? That you get the COVID and suddenly those two factors mix together. Normally, ordinary healthy guy next week in the ICU, right? This is the risk here. You know, this is the real risk that the conservatives don't understand, because to them it's only the only thing they care about is themselves. You know, and Joe Rogan just said it right here, right? You don't have anything to worry about. You shouldn't get it. It's not all about you. I don't know. I'll leave the rest of this to watch, because he basically just says the same shit for over and over for a little while. So I'll leave the rest of that. I'll put the links to all of this stuff down in the things so you guys can see it. One more person I want to talk about here. This woman is an actress, Leigh-Allyn Baker, and apparently she was in a couple of Disney shows and things like that. And she's going to talk to the school board in Tennessee about why mask mandates are so bad. So this person here is kind of like the epitome of conservative ignorance. Conservative ignorance and virtue signaling, I think. So let's check out what she's got to say.
Yes, there you go. Hi, my name's Leigh-Allyn Baker, and I'm a California refugee. I gave up everything there, a really successful Hollywood career, television shows, gave it all up for freedom and to come to this friendly place of Tennessee and be greeted with open arms, and I love it here.
Yeah, okay. First thing, California refugee. What the fuck does that even mean? Right. She's making it sound like the state of California is like a giant concentration camp, like communist hellhole, where like, you know, young Marxists are going around and forcing everybody into like worker collectives or something. Like, seriously, like, what the fuck is she talking about? Like, California refugee. You know, the reason why everything's expensive in California, do you really want to know the reason why? The reason why taxes are high, the reason why, you know, housing prices are through the fucking roof in California. It's because everybody wants to live here. You know why? Because California rules. Okay, the weather's great, the people are awesome, there's things to do, and this is where you make money. Okay, the average salaries are way higher in New York, in you know, Los Angeles and San Diego and San Francisco, shit like that. Way more than you would make in Tennessee, and that's the reason why. It's like the reason why California is expensive is because it's in demand, right? So yeah, you know, if you don't like that, that's fine. Right, but don't pretend that you're like a refugee. Okay, nobody was forcing your ass to fucking live here. I don't know. It's just, it's ridiculous. Because what that does, what she just said, reinforces this like this ridiculous idea that California is some kind of like communist hellhole, and it's like, no. You know, the real reason why people in red states, you know, you hear about, like, they're always talking about how California is like this shitty place to live. You know, like, you saw the same thing, fucking Kimberly Guilfoyle said the same shit during, like, the fucking RNC, you know, just look at California, blah, 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 right? They're always insulting California because they're always pointing out, you know, ridiculous laws that they think are ridiculous that pass in California, you know, things that usually have to do with, like, gay rights or trans rights or something, you know. They hate California so much is because California outperforms all of the places where they live, right? California is highly, highly capitalistic, and it's doing it better, right? It's successful. California is in the black right now. California doesn't have any state debt. There's a $5 billion surplus, and it all happened that way because the Democrats won, right? The Democrats won, they raised taxes, and everything's working out great. And California is an example of how to do it right. And this is why, you know, the OANN, One American Networks and the Fox Newses and fucking the people like Sean Hannity and all those people, that's why they just like shit on California constantly, because it's like it's become a boogeyman, you know. It's become a boogeyman and an object of conservative hate, when in real life it's sort of the exact opposite. There's a reason why Ann Coulter and Ben Shapiro and all these people lived in Los Angeles for so long. Let's put it that way. I don't know. Such bullshit. Anyway.
I wanted to tell you that I have 2 vaccine-injured children, and they have medical exemptions because after the seizures and the hospitalizations, after all of their immunizations, I was granted, obviously, a medical exemption. So my children are those rare children that will just not be able to get the vaccine.
So what she's describing is incredibly rare. There are children, of course, out there that have medical conditions, which means that they should not get vaccinated, you know. Specifically children that have suppressed immune systems for whatever reason. You know, you have some kind of childhood disease that means your immune system isn't at 100%. Very few children actually have seizures after getting vaccines, like what she just described, right? And what she just said there kind of sounds like bullshit to me. So I'm not going to call her a liar because it could be true. It most likely is true, right? Kind of sounds like a load of crap, and usually is not a thing that most people have to worry about when they get their kids vaccinated. So, I don't know, could be true here, but let's just say it sounds very fishy to me.
And still, I would never put them in a mask because their brain needs oxygen to grow, which the neurologist can confirm. Anyway,
Yeah, that's dumb. Okay, wearing a mask does not mean you don't get oxygen, all right? If you didn't get any oxygen when you wore a face mask, you'd have people choking to death and dying from wearing face masks, right? It's bullshit, okay? That, what she just said is bullshit, misinformation. This woman doesn't know what she's talking about. Moving on.
the real part of the clown show is that you all think that you actually have the authority to mandate this. Because there are these books that I have, and I have them as a gift for you, the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and the Federalist Papers, and also the Bible. And these guarantee my freedom and yours and our children's to breathe oxygen.
Yeah. None of those things actually guarantee what you just said. The Constitution says you will provide for the general welfare, right? That is, the Constitution gives the authority for the state, right, to enact general health measures. Okay. The Declaration of Independence is not a legally binding document, right? There are no laws in the Declaration of Independence, right, that actually apply to anything. You can't bring it up in a courtroom and say that this gives me the ability to do the XYZ. That's bullshit. The Federalist Papers are also not binding law, and neither is the Holy Bible, because the Bible is made up bullshit, and we have a separation between church and state in this country. So it doesn't matter if the Bible said whatever the fuck it said. Even if there was a commandment, the 11th commandment, thou shalt not wear a mask during a pandemic, doesn't fucking matter. That doesn't apply, right? The only one of those things that she could have possibly brought up there would be, you know, the Constitution, and then she would have to actually find the exact law that says I'm allowed to not wear a mask, right? Which, guess what? It's not in there because the Constitution deals on a federal level, and what she should have done is brought up her state constitution, right? And then gone through the different state laws or whatever and found that. But she didn't do that because she's an idiot, right? Because she's a conservative, and conservatives don't actually give a shit about the truth or what's right. They only care about what feels good to them. And that's why all these people here started cheering immediately when she spewed a bunch of fucking right-wing virtue signaling bullshit. That's all this is. That's all of these videos that I'm showing you guys, it's virtue signaling. It's Joe Rogan virtue signaling. Let's turn this shit off, okay? This dumb bitch, I'm glad she doesn't act anymore. She's a moron, right? Let's turn that shit off. So, that's all this shit is. It's dumbass virtue signaling, okay? It's Joe Rogan virtue signaling. It's fucking Tucker Carlson virtue signaling, right? Because they know what their conservative audience likes, and they want to make money, right? And they know that, at this point, if they were to actually turn around and tell people to do the right thing, to get vaccinated, to wear a mask, right? If they were to do these things, their audience would turn on them. Okay, I guarantee you Tucker Carlson has gotten vaccinated, right? The reason why I know that is because Fox News has a vaccine mandate. You're not allowed to go inside of the building where Tucker Carlson works unless you're vaccinated. I don't know. Maybe they would allow him since he's like the star or whatever. Right. But, you know, I give it a 99% chance that he's vaccinated. Joe Rogan is most likely vaccinated too. You know why? Because Joe Rogan is not an idiot. He's not a moron. He knows how vaccines actually fucking work. Okay. All these other people that we just watched, probably not, because those are the actual followers. Those are the people that watch people like Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan and just believe whatever the fuck they say, because conservatives don't think. They don't think. They don't do, you know, they don't think. They do whatever they're fucking told. They do what feels good to them. What feels good to them right now is what's detrimental to the entire country. And this, you know, this shit could be over with in literally a month if we were to just get everybody vaccinated and wear fucking masks, right? And socially distance and shut down businesses that didn't need to be open. You know, keep people working from home, stuff like that. If we were to just do that for 30 days, it'd be over with. But they don't want to fucking do that. They don't want to do that because they're morons. There's no other, at this point, there's no other explanation. We've been living with this shit for more than a year at this point. Well, it hasn't been more than a year. Yeah, it has, right? Unbelievable. It's like, what else has to, how many fucking people have to die before these guys like get this shit through their fucking head, right? And take basic fucking precautions to stop a goddamn pandemic. It's like, it's almost like we deserve it at this point. So I don't know, folks. It's fucked up. If you haven't gotten vaccinated, go get the goddamn vaccine. Seriously. You know, don't be an idiot like any of these people. Get the vaccine. Stay safe and stay healthy, folks. See you all next week. I will be streaming next week at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Daylight Time, as usual. Adios, folks.